And as our parade's going, here's a 170 gas in original condition. The 170 is kind of the tractor that took over for the D17. You still had the small non-adjustable drop axles on the back. Now you've got the standard 3-point hitch. 170 was one of the smallest, although they did make a 160 that we don't see too often. Here comes a hard-working D17. D17 gas. They built the D17 for about 10 years. Said it's a 57. That'd be real early. The early D17s had the silver letters on the side of the hood, and they had the silver oval under the gas tank on the sheet metal. The D17 and the D14 were the first D series introduced. Again, they built the tractor up into 4 different series, and I think they were done with the D17 in 67 or 68. It's a 1954 WD-45 from Fusel Acres out of Belchester. Lauren, Caitlin, Mason, and Lucas. WD-45, they changed the crankshaft and they give it a little bit of extra stroke. Otherwise, they'd use the 4x4 engine carried over from the WC. That was a 201 engine, but the WD-45 was 226 cubic inch, and now it was a 3-plow tractor. Brandon Brammerich, 21st golden birthday, driving his great-grandpa William Bramerich's 1939B tractor with cultivators and a mall chainsaw toolbox on the back. Here with family running the mall chainsaw show. He's been doing that since he was 2 years old, just reading off the paper. Coming up next, this Allis tractor is the one that is on the show button. And a D17 with duals on it. My uncle was in the tire business, and double tires in the springtime always helped you float across the soft soil, and a little better traction and everything like that, so he did quite well. Parade is on. Do your best to stay out of the parade route. How many times have I told you? Just this time. They say theirs is a 1957, the Young family, restored by Bruce Young, 1957 D17. Again, this is a tractor that's on the button. That's the thing, tractors with dual wheels, they almost don't fit in a parade route. But this D17 still the snap coupler system on the back. D17 Series 4. We're talking about mid-60s here, but the Series 4 was the last D17s that were built. They've got a carrier on the back with a seat. Apparently, if you're a bad boy, you get strapped to the seat and publicly humiliated. I don't know. Now, a new era of Allis comes in. This is a tractor continuing with what was the 190. It has a 301 6-cylinder engine. The 7000, the 7010, and the 7020 were all based like that. They put the fuel tank under the driver. They've got it to where you can take the side panels off and get to the engine a lot easier. Some of these tractors were maroon bellies and some were black bellies. 730 case gas, diesel, gas dual range. That means it doesn't have the case-o-matic, so nicely restored. This is a transitional tractor. It's got the high platform sheet metal, but they're still setting down low. So John Deere A with a racing cam in it. You can count the revolutions. They got her put and real slow, and I think they were doing a little tractor pulling. This tractor has a couple of those nice stands on the back so you can get up and down nice and easy. F20 from Josh Stocks. Like this tractor originally had cast wheels on it, and they had some fluid problems, so they sawed the old wheels off, and they just found some old cutoffs and they put those on, and that was a common thing. The wagon on the back has original T Minnesota license plates from years and years and years ago. Super M, I think they were doing some pulling here. The Super M, they upgraded the engine, they changed it to 264 cubic inch, and they did some tweaking on the gears. Your second, third, and fourth gear, I think, were a little bit better than on the original M's, and of course, fifth gear was road speed. Marlon Greer has his grandpa's original John Deere G, and this tractor has his original paint on it. That's about as original as you're going to get. When his grandpa bought this tractor, it didn't have any tires on it, so they had to wait for tires, but it was purchased with these cast wheels on the back, so Marlon's been a long time participant here at the shredding days, but that's a family tractor, so. Another straight framed A. They got the nice exhaust pipe on it there, lets it breathe. And they've been possibly doing a little pulling. They've got the little weights permanently hooked on the front there, bolted to the front. And again, one of the nice, I think it's the John Deere accessory, the yellow step, that you can put that on the right or the left or both. Here's a big G with a wide front on it, definitely set up for pulling. They got the pulling racks on it, 390 cubic inch as it was original. And when you're going to work it for pulling, you maybe got a little bit more, but the G was the biggest of those letter 2 cylinders. And we've got an A definitely set up for pulling, got the different air intake, got the alternator, got the disc wheels on it. These are the things they do so they can pull in the different weight classes. Another A, this one on spoke wheels, and again, they can tune them up for pulling. Weight brackets on the front, weight brackets on the back. 1958 Ford 861 diesel. The 800 series of Fords and the 600 series were the four-wheel standards like this, where the 700s and the 900s were the narrow front row crops. This one's got the 2-bottom plow. They might be able to plow later. Early 77, when it's got the red numbers, that's sometime around 49 and 50 when they changed. Later 77s would have yellow numbers, so a little brother or little sister to the 88. 4520, a new era in power. It was definitely bigger than a 4020, but not quite as big as a 5020. They got the nice aftermarket step on there. John Deere had a really nasty little foot pad that it's hard to get on when you get older, but those aftermarket steps are really nice. 856 farmall, the 56 series, the 856 and the 1256, they introduced a new 407 engine. The 806 does not have the turbo, but the 1256 does. And a 4020 diesel. Two of them, in fact. Again, the aftermarket step. They're both early ones. They've got the hydraulic levers up on the dash, where later they put the hydraulic levers on a console on the side, and so when they're advertised, that's when it says side console. Carter Mann, he's a grandson of Paul and Bonnie Bauer. He's got his 1941 Minneapolis R. The R was the little brother to the U and the Z. And you see, sometimes they didn't have too much for fenders, but the idea behind that was the fact that they put cultivators on and fenders would be in the way. Eric Ark, he's the man owning and driving it from Mazeppa 3010 industrial diesel. That's why it's painted and shaped the way it is. There can't be too many of these left. If this is built on kind of the old row crop utility chassis where they didn't build too many of those to begin with, so. And a WD-45 with some aftermarket front end on it. It's actually an old combine front rear end on it. It's got a 3-bottom plow. It's got some big tires on it so he can tractor pull and plow with it. Plow is in original condition. Allis-Chalmers B110 garden tractor. The youngsters like the garden tractors, and Allis garden tractors are a nice looking unit, whether they're restored or not, made for Allis by Simplicity. Here we have what looks to be just a straight WD by the decal on the hood, also a WD. The spotting difference, a WD has a straight gear shift lever, and a WD-45, the lever is curved. Early Oliver 88, it's not a 70, but an 88. This is a standard, so we don't see too many of these. They built somewhere around 1,500 of these early 88s with that old 70 style, and so when a collector finds them, they've got a real gem. TO35 Ferguson. The TO35 survived the Massey-Ferguson merger, and then it was sold as the Massey-Ferguson 35, looking just like this except for Massey-Ferguson decals on it. We saw 170 go by. This is the upgrade of that, the 175, the year-round cab out of Mankato. This is our host, Mr. Dwayne Gherkin. He's got the model 5100 planter behind. I think that planter is from the White Corporation, even though they painted their items red. I think this is how the majority of the crops are planted here. Again, our grade route is somewhat small, so some of these wider equipment, even though it's only an old 4-row, a little bit wider than normal, but when you keep your planter in the shed, it stays nice. John Deere R diesel. John Deere engineers spent 66,000 hours perfecting the R. They were interrupted somewhat by World War II, so the R diesel came out in 1949, and it was built until 1954. They did make a cab for it that was built in Crenlows in Rochester. Getting toward the end, the Allis 8070. I think this is the biggest two-wheel drive